I need a haircut. Wednesday waffle.
Except it's quite late because it's
Yes,
Friday here.
It is not a Wednesday waffle. I apologize. It's Friday here, which means it's probably not going to get sent out until Friday where you are, which means it's more like a Friday fries.
Bringing that back.
Friday fries. We got a lot to talk about. Kana's got a lot to talk about for the weekend. I've got a lot to talk about for the week itself. It's my final week of placement, which means I'm done for the first week, for the first placement. Congratulations, Owen. Yay!
A round of applause.
It ended pretty well. Messed up a few things on my last few days, but that was all right. But then I had it with my AT and the principal, and that all went well. And they all were very nice. I got Wendy, my associate teacher, is what her name was. She always kind of teased me about how many notebooks I had. So I got her a notebook as a parting gift, and she had this wonderful, just warm laugh at that fact that I got that for her, and a nice pen because she recommended I get a bunch of ballpoint pens for the kids, like because it's just it's relatively cheap for me to do, and each kid can have one, which Kana was nice enough to actually go get those because I was busy gaming, busy playing video games with the boys. So, but Wendy also got me a few gifts for parting. She got me this plant. So I don't know what the plant is, but it's one of those like waxy ones. Maybe Bill knows, or any other plant aficionados. Tell me. We'll try and keep it alive. I say as the camera right behind, there's some flowers that are dying behind the camera.
Flowers just die though.
Flowers just die though. This doesn't really have a scent other than dirt. I also got some letters from like my relieving teacher and Wendy herself, but those letters have pictures of the kids, so I'm not going to show them. So you'll have to come in person if you want to see what my first class looked like. Oh, there you go. That doesn't have any pictures of them.
Pictures.
That's smart. And we hosted the postgraduate students today hosted morning tea at Heaton, which went well. And I tried these gluten-free things, and Kana once again lovingly picked those things up for me because I was gaming. So it was unfortunate timing, and also I left it to the last minute because that's how I am. So I appreciate, huh? They're dry. Gluten-free stuff, pretty dry, turns out. But it was also delicious filling. So, and I bet it'd be really good if you dunked into tea. Wendy also got me a stamp, so now I can actually give a star stamp to some students of a star shape. Oop, the camera's over. Where is the camera? It's over here. Star. Anyhow. So placement ended well. Did some good teaching this week. Frustrated with the university's organization, which isn't a new thing. And tonight we're gonna go to a play with Levi and Roxy, which will be exciting as a kind of celebratory thing for Levi and I finishing our first placement. But over the week, was there anything special in the weeks? We continued to work out. My shins are tired from running. And more importantly though, I gotta pass it to this stellar woman right here, right next to me. The best woman. Because she did fantastic, amazing stuff on the weekend. She did a Bellyful Hui. A Bellyful Hui. Yeah. She'll talk about that before I talk about baking cookies with Levi.
Okay. So in Lauri, Hui means meeting, and so what this was a Bellyful conference basically. And so it just so happened to be great timing that the Hui was scheduled to be in Christchurch the same month that I started to be branch coordinator. And so that was really useful for me. There's probably about 100 people from across the country, all of them being in volunteer leadership roles. And so we got to hear from a really good motivational speaker whose name is Dr. Ellen Joan Ford. And she actually was she was a soldier who was responsible when she came home in actually helping some Afghanistan people find safety in New Zealand during the Taliban takeover in 2021. And so she was really interesting to hear from, and she was a leader of some New Zealand Army engineer groups and stuff at the age of like 22, like about my age, younger than me actually. So it was really impressive to hear her story of being a leader in those spaces at such a young age. And then of course it was just really useful to hear like what the organization as a whole was up to and some changes that they're making, some good progress. So it was a full weekend, lots of good food as well, lots of meeting people, made me realize how much working remote is really, really good. And then sometimes I forget like how draining it can be to be socially interacting with people in person for an entire couple days back to back. But yeah, I made a couple of nice new connections within Bellyful, and yeah, so that was a good thing. And since then, it's just been sprinkling in Bellyful here and there. It's getting to be a little bit more regular, I would say, in terms of it's not quite as intense, and I'm finding my rhythm with it. So that's good. That's really all there is to say. Yeah.
What was the top thing you learned?
Top thing I learned, there's some messaging stuff that was interesting in terms of how we retain volunteers and the state of volunteering in New Zealand as well as the rest of the world. We heard from somebody who works for Volunteering New Zealand, and she actually was somebody who I had a more meaningful chat with over dinner, and it was cool to hear her perspectives on things. And I guess the most interesting thing that I learned is that near 60% of New Zealanders volunteer, I think, and actually a higher percentage of young people volunteer than I would have expected. I can't remember what it is, but they more frequently volunteer in informal spaces, so kind of just like for the one-off person versus formally for an organization. So that was interesting, and a little bit of like hope core to hear that there are so many people volunteering and a lot of young people still have an interest in volunteering. Now we just have to reach those people. Oh, that's actually kind of fun. We had like a small influencer reshare some Bellyful stuff this week too. So like there's some really good movement there. So that's exciting.
Nice.
Cookies.
Now cookies?
Yeah. I don't have anything else to say.
What was your favorite meal? You went to she went to cool restaurants. I dropped her off at cool restaurants.
I did. They had a really delicious
alcohol. She had a really delicious lamb.
Oh, and they also had a venison roast, which was really good. Venison is more common here. Venison farms are more common here than they are in the United States. And sorry, Guy and Dad, it was better because it wasn't gamey. Because that's what. Because that's the part of venison that I don't like. But it was also slow cooked, so it was like really nice and tender. So that was good. And I sent my mom a recipe for this, but they also had ginger slices, which are basically, it's a ginger dessert, like ginger, like the root vegetable. And is it a vegetable? I don't know. Like the root, whatever it is.
It's a root for sure.
That was really tasty. Recommend if you're somebody who doesn't love a sweet that's like really, really sweet, but you want something that's like kind of nice and would pair well with tea.
Now your dad's gonna want to go to that restaurant to try some venison here.
Oh, it was well. That was at the hotel. I don't know if they had.
Hotel?
Yeah, I don't know if they.
What was at the?
They had.
What was at the Inadi?
That's not the restaurant.
That's not the restaurant. That's a different
It's
fancy restaurant that we walk by every day.
El Deezy, I think was the restaurant. So we went to Bloody Mary's, which is a restaurant within the hotel, and that one is a fancy hotel, and then fancy hotel. And then El Deezy is where we ate. At both of them, there was like a buffet style meal, a couple of them for lunches at the hotel, and then for El Deezy, it was like a multi-course dinner. Like there was an appetizer, which was salmon something, and then there was lamb, chicken, and steak for the entrees, that you just like shared family style across your table. But it was like so much meat that we kind of were joking that it felt very American by how much meat was there. It was delicious. It was good.
Interesting. Well, it seemed like a really fun weekend. She came back both drained, but also seemed very content.
Yeah, it was fun.
Kind of happy that you got to be able to do it. Other Kana wasn't able to do it because she went up to Auckland to do stuff with family. So it was just our own Kana representing.
Well, plus 6 other people from Christchurch.
Just Kana.
Yeah, we got to send a whole bunch.
On our team, I mean, our team, this team. It was just you representing this team.
Cool.
At the same time, not on Sunday, just Saturday, I invited Levi over, and I had texted him. I was like, "Hey, Kana will be busy that weekend. Do you want to do anything?" He was like, "Yeah, sure. What are you thinking?" I was like, 3 different ideas: board games, a hike, or a bake-off. A biscuit bake-off, because they call cookies here biscuits as well as cookies, I guess. Although biscuits is more common. But we did the biscuit bake-off. Levi was hilarious because he not only didn't read the recipe, but didn't actually even find the measurements for the recipe. So he was just kind of guessing to the cookie, and it ended up being both overbaked and more cakey than, because he added more egg than needed to be. And then Levi's favorite ice cream is apparently a Neapolitan, which for those that don't know is the strawberry chocolate vanilla ice cream. But he likes that. So I looked up a recipe that there's a Neapolitan cookie that I found that, like, you start with a sugar cookie kind of base, and then you split it into thirds, and you can add strawberry powder and chocolate to 2 of the other thirds. You get a Neapolitan ice cream, which I think you see some clips of it, and, well, not an ice cream, but a Neapolitan cookie. My opinion of it is, it was a pretty good cookie. My favorite part was just the normal sugar cookie part, though. But I think it was just fun having a meal. And then I made toasties for us, which is just, I made a grilled cheese. But toasty, just any toasted sandwich, which could just also be a grilled cheese, but you could just get a cheese toasty. Vocabulary. Yep. And I made tomato soup that Levi was like, I didn't know tomato soup could taste like this. So it was a fun day. We'd also ranted about teaching for a while, and then played a little bit of Smash Bros. That I think I was so bad at that he got bored with it. That was my read of the situation. And then we played Flamecraft Duo, which was a fun little dragon crafting game. And that was pretty much my weekend. And paper writing. I wrote a paper a lot. Got a lot of papers to write now that the placement is done. Got 4 papers that I need to turn in by the end of next week, I think. So.
But he has a week off from classes, so that should be very achievable.
It is very achievable, especially since I've written 3 of those papers already.
Yeah, he's chilling. King's birthday's Monday.
King's birthday's Monday, even though it's not the actual King's birthday. I don't know. I don't know when the King's birthday is. But I've started reading The Hobbit. I also have the rest of the book series that I was reading, which, for those that were wondering, it is the Red Rising book series by Pierce Brown. My grandma was wondering, so there you go, Grandma. I don't know if you'll enjoy it, but now you know. So, I think that's it for this rant. We see that it's at 14 minutes and 45 seconds, 47. So I'm going to leave it there.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I've got to do some emails for the final placement for getting paperwork out. So enjoy your weekend, because this is probably getting to you at the start of your weekend. Apologize for it being a few days late. We just were too busy on Wednesday and on Thursday. I don't even remember what we were doing. I think we worked out on Wednesday, and then we just came home and we were pooped. So we just didn't record. And then I didn't have time to edit on Thursday. So, but now it's here.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.